My name is Braedin Dixon, and I'm doing my presentation on firewalls. What is a firewall? A firewall is a network security device. It is used when a trusted internal network has traffic between an untrusted outside network, such as the internet. The firewall acts as a barrier between these two so that it can protect the internal network from any malicious traffic, such as viruses. It does this by monitoring the traffic and determining whether or not to allow or block the specific traffic. It uses a predefined set of rules to decide if traffic is benign or not. Weaknesses. The most prominent weakness of firewalls is their inability to protect against internal threats, such as viruses spread through flash drives. Many firewalls are quite complicated to configure. This is why configuration error is one of the largest causes of firewalls not working. Another issue for firewalls is DDoS attacks. General information. Firewalls have come in three different generations. The first started in 1988 with simple packet filters, the second generation began in 1989 with the creation of stateful firewalls, and the third generation was initiated in 2010 when next generation firewalls were created. The largest firewall ever created is the Juniper SRX 5800, which processed at a speed of 148 gigabytes per second. There are a total of 5 different types of firewalls, which we will go over here. First is packet filtering firewall. This type of firewall compares each packet to a set of predefined criteria. It checks the destination and source IP addresses, as well as the port destinations inside the packet. The criteria will have in it which IP addresses are allowed access to certain things and which are to be denied access. This type of firewall is rather weak when implemented by itself. However, it works very well as part of a larger defense system. Pros and cons. Some pros are that this is a very efficient process, and each packet check takes mere milliseconds. These firewalls are rather inexpensive and very transparent, as a user will not know the system is in place until a packet is denied. Some cons are that this is stateless, which means it is not inspecting the package itself. It is weak to IP spoofing, as it trusts the IP addresses given are correct, and it can be difficult to configure securely. Circuit level gateway. This type of firewall becomes a new layer in between the application layer and the transport layer. It monitors network protocol initiation, such as TCP handshakes, and determines whether the session can be trusted. It does this by checking if the remote system can be trusted. Pros and cons. This is an efficient process. These firewalls are somewhat inexpensive, and this protects the data that the private network gives and receives. Cons is they do not filter the packets, and you must modify the network protocol stack for them to be implemented. Stateful inspection firewall. This type of firewall checks each individual package. It checks that the package is part of a valid network session. This offers more security than the circuit level gateway and the packet filtering firewall. However, it does more of a toll on the network performance. Pros and cons. It is more secure than the circuit level gateway and the packet filtering firewall. It can reduce the surface for attacks by reducing the total number of open ports. Cons, it is difficult to configure and takes a decent bit of processing time. Application gateway. This type of firewall is implemented through a proxy server. There is never direct traffic between the trusted server and the untrusted server when using this type of firewall. It checks each individual package on the application level before sending it on. Pros and cons. Pros. It is capable of blocking attacks not visible on the OSI model network. It is very high network security and helps protect private network details. Cons. It is difficult to configure and maintain, requires high processing, and these are all application specific, and proxies must be set up for each type of network application. Next generation firewall. This type of firewall uses packet inspection with stateful inspection. These look exclusively at the header of the packet. Next generation firewalls also use deep packet inspection. This allows the firewall to detect if a packet payload creates a legitimate HTML when assembled with the other packets. Pros and cons. Pros. Very secure as it has access to a lot of detection methods, capable of monitoring network level 2 to 7 of the OSI model. It's very complicated, very expensive, and can also be very heavy in processing. Thank you.